Welcome to Psychos and Sociopaths. Today we're going to talk about Henry Lee Lucas. Now, the thing about the reason why I bring him up, he was a serial killer. He supposedly killed, in some of the biographies that I looked at or the documentaries.
Like 11 people?
No, 200.
Yeah, well, I mean, he admitted to like over 100, almost 200 people, but he's got 11 convictions, so yeah.
Yeah, well, 3 confirmed, 8 disputed, claimed hundreds. Now, he is considered an American serial killer. He was captured by the Texas Rangers. That's the thing about this case, and he kept on getting convicted over other charges and everything, and basically prolonged his life and everything.
Right.
Was because the basic fact of he kept on saying, "Oh, I did this," but what one cop found out, it was either a cop or prosecuting lawyer, I think it was a cop, found out was the Texas Rangers were feeding him information.
Maybe they were just trying to, I guess, close a lot of cold cases, maybe?
Yeah, that was actually the deal. But what ended up happening is a lot of the cases were thrown out. He still got the death penalty.
Right.
Or no, he didn't get the death penalty. And George Bush brought his conviction down to life imprisonment instead of death row.
Yeah.
I mean, he got to the point to where...
he ended up dying of natural causes in prison, right? Down.
In 2001.
Yeah, up in Huntsville, congestive heart failure. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's one of those cases that, and there's a couple of them that the murderer just wanted the attention and everything. I mean, he got strawberry milkshakes every time he was in there doing the confession and everything, and all the cigarettes so you can smoke and blah blah blah. And this is like in the 80s, so they were able to do that. And right now, any kind of prison or anything, you can't smoke, you can't have any kind of contraband on the outside. But that it just goes to show that sometimes they have lazy detectives.
Yeah.
And this is not going against our police force. Our police force, in certain cases and everything, there's always that one person that wants to take the lazy route.
Yeah.
Like reading up on one case, they usually go after, like, if the wife is killed, they'll go after the husband hardcore and everything like that. Because usually it's usually a family member and everything like that. But looking at the person, they defend themselves more on the outside than the inside, basically the outside of their home more than the inside of the home. Mm-hmm. You would instinctively look for a person that's somewhere on the outside. It could be like a jealous woman, or a co-worker that wants them and feels shunned and everything like that. But in this case, Henry ended up just confessing to anything. And there are criminals like that. They feel, some of them feel really guilty, and some of them want the intention of I was like, oh, I got all this attention when I broke the law the first time. Let's get more by confessing to this other one. And eventually it was more or less the Rangers that were feeding him the information to the point to where he knew stuff that the cops, only the cops knew, which the only reason why he knew is because the cops were telling him, hey, this is what happened and everything. Confess to this one so we can get it out of our stock. And it's just lazy police work.
Yeah, it resulted in a reevaluation of police techniques. They brought false confessions and the awareness of them up to the forefront. Investigators, they didn't consider that the petty privileges, like we were talking about, like steak dinners, cigarettes, milkshakes, things of that nature, TV privileges, that I mean, they would get these people that are basically at this point institutionalized, by the penal system. They know they're not going to, that they would never make it on the outside. So, I mean, they've got 3 hots and a cot. They got everything that they could need. They're basically on vacation. They're just, they don't go anywhere.
Well, there's actually cases of homeless people during the winter months and everything. They commit more crimes during the winter months so they can get arrested. And
Yeah, I mean, but I don't think that necessarily correlates to the false confession, but pandemic, or well, we'll just say pandemic, but I know that word gets tossed around a lot. Let's face it, COVID is a plandemic. There is a difference. However, all that aside, it forced investigators to reevaluate how they do things. I mean, the Texas Rangers and some of the investigating officers for these cold cases were giving him access to the case files, so to refresh his memory. And a lot of the stuff that's contained in those case files, only a perpetrator would know.
Yeah, the only case that he actually, they actually found the body and everything was the 14-year-old girl that he killed.
Right.
And the old woman, because the bodies were, his mother.
Yeah.
His mother and the 14-year-old kid, they found the bones and everything, the stash, the place that they were buried and everything. And that was something that he was only known. And then after that, he just kept on getting more convictions because they kept on feeding him stuff to get the cases off.
Yeah. Yeah. Talking about matricide, I mean, that's what they're calling it. But in '59, he traveled to Temesca, Michigan. I know I probably butchered that, but to live with his half-sister, Opal. He was engaged to marry a pen pal whom he had corresponded while he was incarcerated the first time. When Lucas's mother visited him for Christmas, she disapproved of her son's fiance, insisted that he move back to Blacksburg, Virginia, so she could take care of him as he grew older, or so he could take care of her as she grew older. He refused. They argued. And on January 11th of '60, she hit him over the head with a broom, and he smacked her. He stabbed her in the neck. And then he fled. The only thing that he said he remembered is that he slapped her alongside the neck, but after he did, she fell, and he decided to grab her. But she fell to the floor, and then I went to go pick her up, realized she was dead. Then I noticed I had my knife in my hand, and she'd been cut. So it's almost kind of like he blacked out a little bit.
Yeah, he went on that case. He went on self-defense.
Yeah.
And they only give him 20 years.
Yeah,
and he was
out.
He was out by 10 for good behavior, and it was overcrowding. But
yeah, and the reason why, I mean, one, he fled the scene, but the stories conflict between him and his half sister. When Opal got home, found mom in the pool of her own blood, she was still alive. So she called the ambulance, but the ambulance arrived too late. She died while they were en route. So according to him, she was dead, and then he fled. But according to the sister, she was still alive and died waiting for the ambulance to get there. So, there's some discrepancy there, which is why the self-defense worked, but it didn't for that first one for his mom. But, I mean, at some point, you knew that had to, at least at some point, wear on him a little bit. I mean...
Well, he was.
I wasn't able to find any kind of documentation or any kind of research out there that showed that he'd been abused, molested, or anything like that.
I mean,
maybe the abuse, because yeah, and I get that that's why he's using that as self-defense. It was like a snap reaction. This is why he did what he did.
But I'm it's the second murder was totally different,
right? But, I mean, the only thing really that you could see that, I mean, it talks about his mother, Viola, was a prostitute. She'd force her son to watch.
Well, it was from what I gathered on another interview, it was the father. The father was a drunk.
Yeah, he was a drunk and
died. The mother was a prostitute, and from what I gathered it's one of those ones where we got cross information.
Yeah,
because it was the father and the mother made him watch, and he.
yeah. See, I mean, it's either the father and mother made him watch them, or the mother made him watch her with clients. There's also the whole thing about she cross-dressed him and made him wear that stuff out in public. Kind of a
Yeah,
deal. But I mean, you think about it, back in the 40s and 50s,
that was really weird.
that was,
That was
I mean,
really off-putting.
that was really off-putting, and that was beyond taboo for back in the day. I mean, it's still
Yeah.
taboo now. They're
Not-
trying to
not
make
even
cross-dress.
cross-dressing.
Well, cross-dressing to an extent is becoming more mainstream, but as far as like the parents doing it to the child,
Yeah, because a
you
lot
know-
of the times that was considered a punishment back then.
yeah, I mean, back then it would have been a punishment, but you can see where like maybe the wires got crossed up in his head back then. Uh, I mean,
He was in and out of prison, juvie hall, whatever you want to call it. It went to the point to where he was robbing houses. He was doing all kinds of stuff to where he ended up in jail.
mhm,
He wasn't advocated to as the best person in the world.
right,
But a lot of the cases that he actually confessed to, there was no way he could have done it. And they started this detective. Let me see if I can. See if I can find it. There was a journalist, Hugh Answorth. He started doing the investigation of it from the Dallas Times Herald, and he just found it. It was like he was 11,000 miles away from the actual crime at the
Yeah.
time. I mean,
Right.
it was actual work stamp from his work in Florida that he apparently cross country, and like from what they described, he would have to drive 2 days without any sleep to get there, kill the person, and come back.
right.
And that was impossible. There was a lot of description, and finally they actually wised up and was like, maybe we should look at this in a different aspect. And that's how they figured up a lot of the stuff that he was being force-fed by the Texas Rangers. They even had a task force called the Lucas Task Force to get all the bodies and deaths that actually happened that
Yeah.
he confessed to.
Yeah, and I just once he was in custody, I think that we really started to see. I mean, because he went on that false confession spree, but do I think there was a lot of coercion? Yeah. Do I think it was a lot of lazy detective work? Absolutely. They were taking advantage of the fact that at this point, I mean, this guy's a tortured soul. Not making excuses for him by any stretch, but they were taking advantage of his mental state.
Yeah, because at the end he actually wanted the death penalty because of all the guilt he was feeling.
Yeah, and so there was also the thing too. I mean, he was accusing prison personnel, stripping him naked, keeping him in cold cells, torturing his genitalia, denying him cigarettes. Which nowadays it's like, oh, too bad, you can't smoke.
Yeah.
But there was so much wrong with the system back then that
Well, it's something in the system that you can't really
unless it's made
public.
public, it's I don't want to use the word systemic because that word gets tossed around a lot, especially in today's lexicon, but I think that for lack of a better term, yeah, I mean, just the system, the way that it was run, it was very systemic because it was so ingrained with investigators trying to get notoriety,
Yeah, back in the-
case closure percentage, things of that nature. I mean, cold cases, they really didn't want the cold cases there. And this was before they had any kind of like, I mean, if you got a confession, there was no need.
Well, you
for
got
any kind of
you
forensic
got
testing.
more rank and more notoriety.
Yeah, notoriety, yeah.
Yeah, for closing cases.
Right.
it was more beneficial to close the case than it was to not close the case. And
You'll-
that's what
you'll see
it
that
is.
even nowadays,
Yeah.
especially with prosecutors' offices. They'll have people that they want to, I mean, they'll have people that, that arrested on charges that they don't have any evidence. I mean, they don't have enough evidence to take to court. Or the evidence is so circumstantial that you have to twist it and put it, to take it out of context to even remotely get something. Or cases where people have pending felony charges. And, normally they say you can indict a ham sandwich, but there's cases, even here in this county, where they don't have enough to take to the grand jury because they know that as soon as they get in front of a grand jury, it'll get no billed and they'll have to drop it. And
That
so,
almost happened with the case with Ava and her murder.
right.
Because he only got like 14 years and
Mhm.
half of it was served anyways.
Right. And a lot of they'll just keep you in the system. They'll keep you incarcerated until they can get either fabricate it or they can find the evidence out there. But, in a lot of cases where they don't have it and they end up having to drop these charges, they hide behind that, well, we were just doing our due diligence and you don't get compensated for that time. That's just lost. The system. I've heard it said that the moniker of "you're innocent until proven guilty" is dead, and a lot of it is because they use terms like in pursuant, like they'll confiscate a piece of your personal property.
Yeah.
In
Well,
pursuant
that's what
to a
happened
warrant.
with Eddie.
Yeah.
Because he was in CSI or NCIS. NCIS, there we go. That was the Navy one. He needed to make a phone call, so he had to open up his phone. By law, they can't open up your phone.
Yeah.
But if you open it up making a phone call, they can snatch it away and get all the information that way. That's what happened with him.
Yeah.
And that's just lazy police work. They don't want to.
It is. It's using grammatical loopholes in what used to be called the Patriot Act. I think that a majority of the Patriot Act, if not all of it, I think is about to expire. I could be wrong on that,
Yeah, hold on.
but
I think it is actually going to expire. That's
and
one
to a
of the-
degree, I think that that's a good thing because it really allows. And don't get me wrong. I mean, I support.
we already give enough free all of our information anyways.
Yeah, I
half
mean,
the time.
don't now people that listen to or watch us on YouTube. We are unabashedly supporters of the military, first responders, law enforcement. We back the blue, and we back the men and women in green. But to an extent, I do believe that the police have, to an extent, as far as the investigative side of it, they have the. I don't want to use the term too much power or too much reach. Because, I mean, obviously they need to be able to do their jobs effectively, but they were able to do their jobs effectively before they were given these intrusive permissions or privileges. You see where I'm going with that?
Yeah.
It's being able to snatch somebody's phone or be able to get a warrant. If you want something, get a warrant. And then you call the person down and they have to surrender that piece of property, or you arrive at their house with a warrant for that piece of property and that piece of property alone.
Oh, we don't have the Patriot Act anymore.
Okay. Yeah, so I mean...
Yeah, because they had the Senate passed a 77-day extension in March 2020, but the House of Representatives did not pass the legislation before departing the recess on March 27th, 2020.
Right.
So
I mean, but back in the 80s, they didn't need it. They didn't need any of that. So, I mean, they got creative. And that's where it really started to delve into the almost the fabrication of evidence, coercion. I mean, unless you were there, because to my knowledge, they didn't even do like video recordings of interviews until
88. Oh, no, 80. 80, no. It was sometimes in the 80s.
Yeah, I think it was the late 80s. I think it was like
Yeah.
86, 87. They didn't
No, it was
start video.
83.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay. Because, but as far as like the checks and balances to make sure that the integrity of the interview was taking place, that wasn't in place whenever he went on this whole false confession spree. And I mean, yeah, it was November of 83, but and honestly, I don't think that stuff started taking place until 84.
A lot of the stuff that
Because a lot of the reform for the interview process, the investigative process, procedural SOP for police departments, even nationwide, really, didn't start taking place until after this case. Because they went back and they started realizing, oh, you dangle a carrot in front of a donkey or a horse long enough, they're going to pull whatever you want, whatever you put behind them. So I think that, yeah, like you said earlier at the beginning of the episode, lazy investigative work, lazy police work, guys just out there trying to make a name for themselves, saying, hey, look, I pinned this on the most prolific serial murderer in American history, kind of a thing. And they just wanted their name attached to that, and that was their way to get in. And really there was nobody there that could check up on them, that to call them out to the woodshed on it, so to speak.
No, they started videotaping confessions in 1975.
In 75?
Yeah.
Okay, well then maybe it was just I don't know, maybe then I don't know, but it. Let me see here. Yeah,
But
I mean, because they went from 213 previously unsolved murders, and then they officially cleared them and put those on Lucas.
yeah, and another thing.
It
was okay. It was mandated recording investigations in 1985.
That's what it is.
Okay.
So it was an option. So they weren't recording his interviews because they knew that if they'd have gone back and looked at the tape, even audio recording. Because at that point, all you're relying on is the notes.
And here's another thing that a lot of people don't understand on something like this is some people will go up and go, well, at least they closed the case. The family gets closure. And then you find out the murderer is still out there killing, living free air.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that doesn't settle for me.
No,
it didn't settle for me until like after the case with Ava, after she was murdered.
Yeah.
That's when I felt relief. To that point, I bruised up my hand a lot.
Yeah, you're going to give these people this glimmer of hope that life can return to some degree of normalcy, only to yank the rug out from underneath their feet, in the name of what? Expedience, and some kind of congratulatory certificate to hang on your wall.
Yeah, it's like the case with the dating game killer.
Yeah.
One of the mothers didn't see the satisfaction that he was killed, or he was executed. And they kept on prolonging it, and it just sucks that some people don't get that kind of gratification. And I say gratification, and a lot of people are like, oh, that's sick and everything like that. No, the gratification is for the relief that the person that did harm to your child,
Yeah.
or something that you loved,
Yeah,
is now non-existent and not breathing any kind of air.
Yeah, exactly. If somebody were to come in to do something to one of my kids, I would
help you bury the body. It wouldn't be no questions asked. And like, dude, someone happened to my kid. And like, Dave, why are you grabbing the shovel?
It'd be like the scene out of
Is
The
it
Town.
is it not a shovel moment?
You'd sit there on the couch and just be like,
This is a waste of time. Why aren't we
whose
digging
car
a
are we
hole?
taking?
Yeah.
But if somebody were to do something to one of my kids, dude, I would not rest until that person ceased to be a member of this mortal coil. Whether, and I say that, generally I'm a pretty peaceful person because, we know what it means to be violent, but we choose to not.
Yeah.
Whereas people who don't know what it has, what it truly means to be violent, but they use those steps anyway, those people are just useless.
Yeah.
But those are the dangerous ones. to look for, because those are the people who think that they've got something to prove.
Yeah, every
But
time I've done any kind of violent act or anything like that, I mean, very violent act.
there's almost an instantaneous remorse.
Yeah, I fucking regretted it. Especially, stupid bar fights.
Oh God, yeah.
God.
I mean, yeah, back in the day when we were younger, we were on active duty, whatever, and you get to the bar fight, and you're like, afterwards, you're sitting there beating your chest because you're like, I whooped that dude's ass. But I mean, but after a while, you even now, it's like you look back and you reflect on it, and you're like,
Fuck, what the hell was I thinking?
I was a dumb motherfucker back then.
Yeah.
It's like, and then you look and you're
And
like,
it's most of the times it's just something like really inconsiderate stupidity.
yeah,
Like someone's girlfriend looks at you and you just wave, and
I mean,
boyfriend gets so pissed off.
yeah,
I mean, the guy was ugly. He probably had like a huge cock. That's all I'm saying. And I tried to say that to him, and he's like, he wasn't having it. I'm trying to diffuse the. Carry on.
I'm trying to think of how I would handle that, and I'd be like, I mean, I don't know what it is you got going on for you, dude, but you keep on doing you.
Yeah.
That probably wouldn't help either, but I think the biggest takeaway from his particular case is not so much the fact that he's now dead and gone. No, we didn't execute him. He died of congestive heart failure while he was incarcerated in Huntsville. But
All those strawberry milkshakes.
no, I think the biggest takeaway is, at least until the Patriot Act became a thing, it was at least a temporary reform of the way that police and law enforcement conduct their investigations. There's a right, moral, and legal way to do it. But you start, and it's becoming more and more of a thing.
And there are some.
Given who's in office now, okay, and yes, this is a political thing to a point. But given who's in office, given what party is in power, you're seeing it trend back the other way, where they were conducting investigations and doing honest to God gumshoe work.
Yeah.
The investigators didn't go into an investigation with any kind of bias, whether it be gender, political, race, whatever. They went in looking for a suspect and they followed the clues. Now, all it takes is somebody slapping their name on a piece of paper saying, I swear under oath of perjury, and they'll consider that almost gospel, where they'll be like, okay, the investigating detective will get it, and they will be like, I'm going to go after this person. And they're going to look at, if you look at one person and that's your finite point of focus, you're going to start seeing things through rose-colored glasses. You're going to see them through a prism, and the facts will bend to fit whatever narrative that you've got planted into your head.
Yeah, that's one reason why when any kind of crime a person sees, they have to take like 2 days off to reform what they're actually seeing. And that's just any kind of this
right,
person that's trying to investigate.
But we're seeing police departments. We're starting to see prosecutors' offices. We're starting to see them trend towards that finite, biased form of investigating, where they see this person did something, even if they didn't do it. They've got all of the forensic evidence to back it up. I mean, these days you've got GPS, you've got, phone tracking. Whatever it is, we've got location services on our phones. Well, you got
video camera.
Yeah.
Everything is almost video camera.
And almost everybody, to a letter, you're constantly taking pictures and posting that crap on social media. And what is it doing? It's tagging the location, right? So it's almost like you're getting a map of this person's itinerary throughout the course of that particular day.
Yeah, because I was actually talking to somebody how hard it would be to commit murder nowadays because the ring.
Yeah, the ring camera. I just bought my parents one.
Yeah.
For their garden, because a ton of their, probably about half of their garden was either pilfered by squirrels or somebody who didn't want to go and pay for vegetables or take the time to grow their own.
Yeah.
And so I went and bought my parents a ring camera. And I'm going to get one for their front door. you know, a doorbell with the camera on it, you know, so that way they've got that peace of mind, they got that security. You can't you can't drive through a neighborhood anymore nowadays without getting picked up by somebody's motion sensor.
Yeah, and it's not even, rich people's neighborhood anymore.
No, I mean,
it's
every level of income.
Yeah.
They'll either have a motion light, which you can get for dirt cheap nowadays.
Oh yeah.
You know, or they'll have a camera like a Ring or a VivNet or whatever it is that they're using nowadays. Or even some of these like cheap Chinese child labor, camera systems you can pick up at Harbor Freight. They've got some form of surveillance on their home, watching their property, or angled down the street, surveilling part of their neighborhood. So, I mean, just the digital footprint that you find in neighborhoods alone almost makes it damn near impossible to prowl anywhere unless you know it. I mean, you case up and down a street there in the middle of the day when nobody thinks about it, thinks to look at it, and you go back under the cover of darkness and you can figure out where those sensors are tripping. I think a lot of it is the fact that people are, just like investigators, are lazy. They don't want to put in the work, so they take the road of least resistance.
Well, it's not every investigator. There's always
not every investigator. True, and that is a wide paintbrush. So let me retract that and revise my statement.
Yeah.
Okay. Again, I support the police. I have no problem with the police. There are certain members of the police community that, I do have a problem with, and that's just because they operate.
They're supposed to be on this pedestal, and they're not.
To me, members of the law enforcement community, they have to adhere to a moral standard and then operate above that, because they're the ones who are ultimately supposed to be the ones judging us. So they have to make themselves beyond reproach. And there are some members of that community that are not doing it. But to that same token, people that are out there perpetrating these crimes, a lot of the reasons why they get caught these days is because of the digital footprint.
Yeah.
They don't take the time to invest the manpower, the resources, because they really truly wanted to do something. They would put in the due diligence to do it. You're either going to get caught on video, you're going to get caught on picture, you're going to get caught on audio. Somebody is going to see you. If you got that cell phone in your pocket, guess what? Your location services 99% of the time are turned on, and you are being tracked either through your Google Maps timeline, through your Apple Maps timeline, or even some kind of GPS tracking like Life 360. Somebody can always see where you're at on the Apple devices, the Find My Friends app, right? Find My iPhone. Somebody's going to always be able to see where you're at, unless you just leave all of your digital stuff at home. Even then, to a degree, sometimes, even your vehicles are getting tracked.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Even
but the point is that whenever he was going on this false confession spree, the investigators were taking full advantage of the loopholes that were in the system at the time. It was my brain just completely vapor locked on me.
that was the any you can do that with sneezes. Do that to a person that you don't want to give them they're talking and everything, but you want to end the conversation, sneeze in front of them, or fake sneeze in front of them. You can get out of the conversation. It's old trick that I learned from somebody.
Okay. I promise. It's not my first episode, so I mean I can't. Oh my gosh. Okay.
No matter what your track record, you're always gonna fuck up one day. That's all I gotta say. Now,
Point is, because I think the takeaway from the Henry Lee Lucas saga, we're just going to call it that,
okay.
is that there were reforms made in the investigation community as far as procedures are concerned, standards, checks and balances. The integrity of the system improved, at least for a little while. We're starting to see it trend back the other way. And
But it's trending. It's actually trending back towards not towards the actual beneficial. It's trending towards sorry. It's trending to the point where everybody's knows what they're talking about because of the cameras. I mean, there's good side and bad side because everybody has a camera nowadays. The bad side is everybody's videotaping the criminal doing a horrible act, and now it's the cops that are bad. Like the case to where a guy had a knife and everything, or the closest one that we have right now is that young girl that got shot a couple of times.
Mm-hmm.
Because of the fact of she was about to stab another girl.
Yeah. But that was on video, not only by bystanders, but the body cam for that particular officer.
Yeah.
He was exonerated.
Yeah.
Now, that didn't keep the public court or the court of public opinion or LeBron James. He's not the GOAT. What can we call him?
I don't.
His new nickname, as far as this show is concerned, is just the hairline.
I would go more or less the China spokesman for the United States. I mean,
he doesn't even come close to resembling John Cena.
Well, you can't really see John Cena. That's why you have to go with LeBron James. You can see LeBron James. You can't see John Cena. You
know what you can't see on LeBron James? A full head of hair. Anyway, so we're seeing it trend the way that we don't want it to. The investigating practices are becoming lazy. 2 cents in. Yeah, everyone wants to be able to attach.
Looking to the actual data.
It's all about percentages. It's all about
clicks.
It's about clickbait. It's about click rates. It's about.
But it's really nothing new.
It's about conviction ratings, especially with DAs. It's about their conviction rating because that's what they campaign on.
Yeah.
But at some point, we're going to be able to get that to go back the other way. We're going to be able to see that trend back the way that it's supposed to, where we start to see these really honest to goodness investigative practices that help dispel the negative connotation that you would normally associate with the police, because and part of the bad rap that police get these days is because you've got those lazy detectives out there.
Yeah.
You've got those lazy investigators. You've got those lazy DAs and those lazy prosecutors that they take the path of least resistance and they're looking at it and saying, well, sounds like him.
It probably is.
It probably is him. Take the time to check yourself before you completely wreck not only yourself but this individual that you're targeting. And and I'm not saying 90% of the time, but a good portion of the time, the person that you're targeting, not the tree that you need to be barking up.
Yeah. Because
it's usually, like a case where,
you can't really come up with any cases nowadays because a lot of the stuff...
You really can't. I mean...
Because, the thing that I want to get away from this is the fact that a lot of the times you look at a case and everything like that and you have to ask, why did he do it?
Yeah.
And that was another thing that they couldn't come from it was a lot of serial killers have MOs. They do it this way because of this.
He didn't, though. He really didn't.
No, he didn't. The reporter verified that.
Oh, yeah.
He was like, this serial killer only killed these types of people.
Right.
He didn't. And there's a lot of times that he was actually in prison and the murder happened 3 days later that he got out. So it couldn't have been him. But they still prosecuted on him. And really is, there's lazy people in any kind of job.
Yeah.
This isn't about...
it's not political. It's not anti-police. It's not anti-criminal.
There are lazy people out there that just want the notoriety. Oh, I did something good. They want to suck on that little teat and get that little notoriety. It's like, I did something important. This milk's so good. But they don't want to actually do the actual legwork. You gotta admit, that was a good one.
Oh.
Mommy said it was good.
Fuck. Oh my god. Okay. Okay, so on that note, yeah, we did take a couple of weeks off from this series, and I think that we really kind of needed that reset. We did revisit the Menendez case with our viewer.
I kept everything up and going. We only did like 1 week, but I kept it going. Johnny had to get some stuff done with his stuff, and he needed. I was like, man, I really believe that you needed like a little break from it.
Yeah.
Because even I need a break, but I like push through it half the time, and you can really tell at times. But I really did need a break, not from you, just just in general.
That was apparent because we kept shooting other episodes for some of our other series. But
yeah.
Just as a quick side note update on the archery episode, the gentleman that we filmed with on the second day, Adrian, I did contact him. He did reach back out to me. He had to get some things settled on his front.
You still need to talk to Pruitt.
Yes,
because I talked to him. People have been avoiding me here lately.
Well,
I can understand.
You are kind of off-putting, but the.
No, he's absolutely right.
Yeah, no.
Most people call me a creeper.
I'm out of line, but I'm not wrong.
Yeah, it's one of those things. It's like someone else. Okay, best example is me and Bill. Best example is me and Bill. If you didn't know how we actually, talk to each other and everything,
right?
Because everybody thought that when we were at work that I hated Bill. I mean, just hated him. And it came around. They finally listened to us talk and everything like that. He's like, I thought you hated Bill. I was like, no, I don't hate Bill. I love Bill. Bill's great.
Well, traditionally, with the exception of maybe one person that I've known that's ever been named Bill, 99.999 repeating % of the time, they're insufferable dickheads. So, yeah, I mean, I could see where, that would come. But getting back to with the archery episode, the custom bowstring that I ordered during the episode, he said he had everything laid out. He had to put it on the stretcher to stretch the string out. I'm hoping that I hear from him at some point today or tomorrow so I can take the bow over there and he can get everything all squared away. He does want to sit down with us. He does want to be on the show. And I told him, hey, look, we're ready, kind of a deal.
Yeah.
But, we're gonna keep pressing forward. I think we should do that Gypsy Rose girl next.
Oh yeah. I was going to suggest
because
that.
I saw there was a small snippet of a YouTube video that I saw, and it was from Gypsy Rose being arraigned in court. And if you watch that show, The Gift, the way that girl in the show was talking.
She just nailed it.
Nailed that role. I'm like, good God. I mean, I
got confused.
Yeah, I was like, what is this? And I was like, oh, wait, no, this is not a preview for the show. I'm like, holy crap. But yeah, I think next week we should, because
Gypsy Rose.
Gypsy Rose next week. So get ready for that. I think we're going to probably try to squeeze that into an hour.
Too bad this episode isn't going to come out the same time frame as what we're doing this weekend. I'm thinking about doing everything on Facebook Live. Just set up the camera.
You know what we need to do is we can try to do a YouTube Live.
We can't do YouTube.
Yes, you can.
How can you do YouTube Live?
There's a live feature on YouTube.
Yeah, there is. If you have the stuff for it, you have to have so much stuff for it. I'll show you after we get done.
No, I used to on my personal channel. I've done lives before.
Really?
Yeah, from my phone.
Okay, then we'll do it live.
So, but it'll upload the episode anyway.
Yeah.
Automatically, and then we can just pull the audio from that, so we can put it on Spotify. Well, actually, you know what? I don't know if the live episode would necessarily translate. I mean, because if we're doing live, I mean, it's all going to be visual.
It's all good. Anyway.
So yeah, so
I mean, we just have to.
if you're subscribing to our channel, which you should be on YouTube, hit the subscribe button, smash the bell for the notifications, so you get notified every time we do something. Follow us on Facebook, Angry Me Production, Facebook.com.
Yeah.
Twitter.
We're on the Twitters.
Yeah, we're on the Twitter sphere. Angry Me Production 1, or at Angry Me Production 1.
I think it's Product 1.
Product. Let me look. Don't get me all fucked up and sideways here.
Because a lot of the stuff that I have to put on the. It's like I tried to do the Instagram thing again too.
Yeah, at Angry Me Product 1 on Twitter.
Yeah.
So give us a follow on there. But yeah, because I took over that Twitter account, so I'm trying to, every time we drop an episode, I'm trying to toss the link on there so that way I can go ahead and retweet it on my personal one.
Just don't go on the search thing, because you'll find out when I've been searching. I still use it to search.
Yeah, I've been going out and having to like clear out a lot of the follows that you put on there.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Dude, yeah, I get those random ass recommended tweets, and I'm like, you son of a bitch.
Tim Pool is great though.
Dude. I'm sitting there going, I'm waiting. I'm absolutely waiting for my phone to be sitting on the nightstand, and my lovely girlfriend is visiting me, and then I get this blink notification on there, and I go to look at it, and there's a set of tits there on my Twitter, on my Twitter notification. Then I've got to sit there and explain what the fuck, because oh wait, when we had 2 followers, you were out there using it for your you were using it as your personal incognito browser. No, sir. No. I am in the process of revamping our Twitter account because
I feel attacked.
You should. You fucking damn well should.
I feel it's like the whole Yoda thing. Friend of mine attacked me because I used to get drunk and everything and think this thing was a Yoda, and apparently it was just a raccoon, and I scratched the holy hell out of my back. And it's kind of horrible. Anyways, psychos and sociopaths. Thanks for watching, people.
Before we close,
no.
Saturday, we are doing a live episode.
No, this episode is going to be up on Saturday.
No, I'm saying on Saturday we will be possibly going live.
They're not going to hear it, though.
If they're on YouTube, they'll see it. If you're following us like you should get that notification telling us that Angry Me Production is live on YouTube.
Yeah, it comes out midnight on Saturday, so yeah.
Right, no, the episode that you upload everybody will get the notifications for.
No, I'll upload it like tomorrow. But, yeah, anyways.
Follow me here, work with me, okay?
Okay.
We're walking, and we're stopping. On Saturday from the brisket cook-off competition at American Legion Post 169 here in Wichita Falls, Texas, we will potentially be going live to interview some of the competition
We're
teams.
interviewing them on Friday, and then we're doing the show on Saturday for the judging.
Yes. So Friday, the competitors are showing up. They're getting set up. They're going to be cooking throughout the course of the night. I think the first turn-ins are going to be starting at 11. They're going to start with the beans competition, and then they're going to be progressing throughout the day for like smoked sausage, chicken. I think they're going to do ribs. Ribs is going to be on there, but the big one, the big pull is going to be for the brisket competition. We're expecting somewhere close to the neighborhood of 40 competition teams showing up, and I believe, if I remember hearing the numbers right, it's like the top 14 brisket cooks from across the state of Texas are supposed to be showing up on Saturday.
Yeah, I was thinking about doing the Nerd Sports outfit.
Hey, man, that's on you. I have to show up on Saturday in an official capacity because I'm the new vice commander for the Thomas Fowler American Legion Post.
I fucking don't.
I know you don't. I mean, hell.
It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I need to get you a membership application so you can.
I was a member.
I need to get you to renew then. Anyways, it's
I just
30.
can't-
It's,
I just
it's 30.
can't
It's
afford it, and I
$35.
can't-
$35 a year. $35 a year.
I know. I don't do bars anymore. It's just.
Yeah. It's not a bar. It's not a bar.
I got it.
It's not a bar.
That's the same reason why I don't do.
It's called community outreach, bud.
My dad wants me.
You're
to
not
do-
allowed to quit ever.
My,
That means including on your brothers and sisters in arms, even after they come home and take off the uniform.
my dad wants.
You're
me
not
to-
allowed to quit.
My dad wants me to join
Quitter.
the Masons too, and I just still haven't done.
Quitter.
Yeah.
Quitter. Yes,
I
I'm
love-
guilt shaming you right now. Unabashedly.
Dude.
Unapologetically.
My family invented the guilt shame. I'm immune. It's like a naked chick trying to get me to do stuff. It's not gonna happen. I've been to way too many strip clubs.
You know, at the risk of making the most or politically incorrect statement, I'm gonna refrain.
You know, your girlfriend finds me funny. That's all I'm gonna say. She's laughing her ass off back there. I can hear it. I have muffled ears, and I can hear her laughter. That's what's really sad.
She also had sake for lunch, so don't let it go to your head.
Yeah, alcohol will make me a little bit funnier.
She's over there going, "Oh my God, no!" I drank half the bottle too, so whatever. I'm Johnny Skelton.
I'm David Dickerman.
Y'all have a good week.